Where you belong isn't always where you start. Belonging is a strange thing. We chase it like a destination, as if one day we'll arrive somewhere and finally feel settled. But most people who come through the tavern aren't looking for a place. They're looking for permission to exist as they are. Tonight, the tavern settled itself in Ankh-Morpork, a city bursting at the seams with life, noise, and contradiction. Alex glanced out the window earlier and said, "Of all places, this one makes sense." I nodded, because if there's anywhere you can be surrounded by everyone and still feel alone, it's here. Welcome to the tavern, my friend. Sit with me. Tonight is about belonging and the quiet truth that it rarely looks the way we expect. Ankh-Morpork never sleeps. It shouts. It bargains. It survives. And in the middle of all of that living, he walked into the tavern carrying the weight of not fitting anywhere. Not unwelcome, just unnoticed. I've been a part of many things my whole life, he said. Groups, guilds, families, causes. He paused, but I've never felt like I was actually in them. Belonging, people think, comes from being included. But inclusion isn't the same as connection. I keep changing myself, he admitted, trying to match the room I'm in. I nodded. Belonging that requires you to disappear, I said, isn't belonging at all. The fire cracked softly, unimpressed by masks. I set a mug down between us. My friend, I asked gently, when was the last time you felt you didn't have to perform? He frowned. I don't know, he said. I don't think that's ever happened. The tavern leaned in. Belonging, I said, isn't about being accepted for who you can be. It's about being welcomed for who you already are. Alex passed by quietly, adjusting a lantern. He paused just long enough to say, "People stay longer when they don't have to pretend." And then he kept moving. Some truths don't need speeches. He spoke about exhaustion, about being agreeable, useful, easy to be around. I thought if I made myself helpful enough, he said, someone would want me to stay. That's the trap. Fitting in asks, what can you change? Belonging asks, what can you keep? You can be surrounded, I told him, and still feel homeless inside. Belonging isn't about being found in crowds. It's about being found in moments where your presence isn't questioned. In Ankh-Morpork, everything competes for space. Belonging here isn't found, it's chosen. And it begins when you stop asking where you're allowed to exist and start asking where you feel most alive. When he stood to leave, something had shifted. Not confidence, not certainty, permission. I think I've been waiting for someone to tell me I fit, he said. I smiled softly. You don't fit, I replied. You belong. There's a difference. Fitting means adjusting your shape. Belonging means your shape is already enough. He nodded once, steady. Outside, Ankh-Morpork continued its chaos. Inside, the tavern stayed quiet. That's how belonging usually announces itself. Not with applause, but with relief. I stayed behind the bar after he left. Belonging isn't something you earn, it's something you recognize. And sometimes the place you belong isn't a city, a group, or a role. Sometimes it's simply where you no longer have to explain yourself. The tavern appears in many worlds. Tonight it was Ankh-Morpork, and for one traveler, it reminded him that belonging doesn't require permission, only honesty. Tonight's adventure brings us to Ankh-Morpork, which is from Terry Pratchett's Discworld. And if you've never read that series, it's hysterically awesome. I highly recommend it. Tonight's episode was about belonging, and sometimes we search for that. We have an innate feeling to want to be part of something, to want to be part of a tribe or an organization. But one of my favorite jokes ever comes from an old comedian. His name was Groucho Marx. I would not be part of any club that would have me as a member. Now, I have joked around with that my entire life. I've always been a bit of a loner and a free spirit in my own life, and I haven't joined many clubs or things of that nature. I have I have a lot of friends. I have some that are, part of this club or that. And, mostly concerning tabletop stuff. And it's kind of cool to see what their adventures are and hear their tales. But I prefer doing that one sometimes from an outsider's perspective. However, I do feel like I belong here, saying these things to you in these videos. That's my mission. That's where I feel like I belong. Now, you might look around and go, hey, Lion, hey, not a lot of people come to your tavern. And like I've said before, that's fine. I don't mind. But as long as the one or two people do that need to hear my videos and need to, well, I guess reflect on these lessons, then yeah, it's served its purpose. And so have I. And I feel that much better for it. I truly, truly love helping others. It lifts me up. So I will be your bartender anytime you walk through those tavern doors. You belong here, my friend. You belong at that bar with me, telling me the stories of your life and how wonderful it is, or the adventures you've been on, the monsters you've slain. Whatever it is, we'll talk about it. But until then, take care of yourself and be well.